everybody, welcome back to my channel. I know I haven't posted in a really long time, and that is simply because I've been focusing on my coursework in my first year master's program at Harvard Divinity School. For those of you that don't know, it took me quite a while to get my master's degree, a little bit longer than a decade, and that is due to a confluence of factors. Primarily, I thought I was called to religious life, so I was visiting and staying in a few Catholic monasteries and Hindu ashrams at the time, but I also struggled with an illness as well that challenged my ability to graduate from college on time. So I wanted to use this time in this video to discuss how my first semester has been going and what my plans are for the coming year. It is in November right now. It is quite cold in Boston, and the transition from the warmer weather in summer to the cooler weather in the fall has been a little bit of a challenge. We have heat in the building, but it often kicks on at inopportune times, so it's either really cold or really hot. Also, I have to walk about 12 minutes to my classes, sometimes more for my Sanskrit class, and that is quite hard to do when it's absolutely freezing outside. My classes have been going well this semester. I'm taking 3 classes right now. I was taking 4, but there was an issue with one of the classes where I just didn't feel comfortable based on what was being discussed about asceticism and monasticism. So I was able to withdraw from that class without a W on my transcript, which is great. And I am taking advanced Sanskrit this semester. I'm taking a Hindu Catholic comparative course with my advisor, Frank Clooney. And finally, I'm taking a required first-year course for all first-year Masters of Divinity students at Harvard. And that course is called Theories and Methods. My favorite course right now, it's really hard to pick, but surprisingly, I really like the Theories and Methods class because we're learning a lot of different methodologies and approaches to the study of religion and philosophy. And through those very, very diverse readings, I'm starting to realize my love for the philosophy of religion. And that's something that I would love to get deeper in at my time in Harvard. I also love my Sanskrit class because I feel like I'm moving forward with my knowledge. It has been about 3 or 4 years since I last studied Sanskrit as deeply as this. So it was quite a hurdle to move from not even remembering sometimes the Devanagari script to diving deep into a translation of a kavya or a poem. But I feel like now I'm finally on top of that, and I would love to continue my Sanskrit learning next semester. The comparative course has been very interesting because we're comparing different texts in different traditions in Hinduism, like Vedantic traditions and Bhakti Yoga traditions, as well as Tantra, to some of the texts from the lives of the saints, like Thérèse of Lisieux and Saint Bonaventure. And we're comparing them in a way that answers this question of who in our current world and current culture, primarily younger generations, needs God. It's quite a challenging question to answer, but I feel like all of the coursework we've been given has helped us answer that question. The other class I was taking was a class on monasticism, which I really loved. And as I said, I withdrew from that class, but I have been reading a lot about early Christian monasticism on my own. So I feel like I have a pretty good grasp of that. I'm also taking Latin on the side. So I speak French and I have a pretty good grasp of French as well as Sanskrit. And I studied a little bit of Spanish in the past, but I decided that based on my interest in comparative studies, that it's important that I learn Latin so that I can read medieval texts of Christianity. So I'm at the point where I feel like I'm at the intermediate level with Latin, and hopefully next semester or even next year I can continue that study. Overall, I've been busting it, and I feel like I'm learning a lot at Harvard. The campus itself is, I would say, very diverse in terms of student background, but not as diverse in terms of way of thinking. Based on my experience on campus, which has been very, very minute right now, and this perspective could change, But based on my experience, I've noticed that it seems like a lot of the students and faculty and staff have very similar political and social mindsets. So I'm finding that it's a little bit challenging to engage in constructive conversations in class when it seems like a lot of people kind of agree on many of the same things. So I'm planning next semester on taking a class or two at Boston College just to get that diversity of thought. I've also noticed on Harvard's campus that it's certainly not a faith-based institution, it's more secular. So it draws a lot of students that are spiritual but not religious, or don't really know what their spiritual inclinations could be. And whenever I bring up my experience in a monastery or my experience with traditional religious circles, which many of them are very conservative, I'm finding that those perspectives that I have are not always welcome and are often challenged very frequently. So I think it's important, since I want to do comparative work, to be able to understand all different perspectives and to have this kind of dialectic mindset where I can put myself in the shoes of someone that is more conservative, as well as in the shoes of someone that's more liberal, to try to find this common ground. I think that's really crucial. And that's something I've been focusing on my own as I've been studying negotiation on my own, and I've been taking a lot of little workshops here and there about empathy and receptivity and active listening. I think all of these soft skills will really help me in my future. So that has been my experience in my first semester. I'm excited to move on to my next semester, where I plan on taking more Sanskrit and more coursework, getting deeper into Christian mysticism, as well as comparative dialogue. I attended the AAR conference this past weekend, and that was quite an experience. There were about 8,000 people there. It has been an interesting ride. It was about 3 days, and I attended it for 2 days only because my flight actually left on Sunday and the conference started on Friday. But I totally immersed myself within the conference. I met a lot of really interesting scholars and people from all over the world, and I learned a lot about different theorists and scholars whose work I really had no prior knowledge of. So I have quite a reading list now for the winter break, and I'm excited to dive into that. I also met a lot of graduate students from all over the country, from Yale, from Georgetown, Boston College, and most of these students are in their PhD program. So as a first-year master's student, I was one of the only master's students there, but I felt like I could keep up with the discussions that were going on between those who were already in the field and those who are in their PhD program. I highly recommend that if you're in the field of religious studies, that you go to this conference, even if you're a student. I think it's important that we put ourselves out there as much as possible. And for me, this time, that basically just included me going to these sessions and just listening. I didn't feel like I could really put in a lot of my own information, but I just wanted to be an active listener and observe the environment. So just putting ourselves in environments where we can grow and where we can very gently nudge and push ourselves forward is really crucial, especially in this field where it's very competitive and there are not many jobs in the profession. So that's my update on how things have been going at Harvard. I would certainly love to hear any comments you have below and any suggestions on future videos as I kind of grapple with this new period of my life where I'm trying to integrate my spiritual life into a more academic setting and vocational setting. My relationship with God hasn't been as strong as it was in the past, but I'm kind of viewing this time as an opportunity to just go full throttle into the coursework and into the resources at Harvard. And I think that at some point, God gives us that potential to go deeper into whatever it is that can help us grow in Him and can help us guide others to grow in Him. This period of my life is definitely more scholastic and more active in that I feel like I'm taking my experiences from the past and I'm bringing them into the present and into the future in a way that I hope inspires other people to heal and to connect with one another. So I see the work that I hope to do with comparative religion as a way to bridge divides that create a lot of violence in the world, violence of body, violence of thought and speech and emotion, and can remind people of their common humanity. I consider this kind of an act of service. So whatever it is that I will do with my degree, I know it's hard to get a job with a degree in religious studies, but whatever it is that I choose to do with my degree, I know that it will be done in service of others. And I'm always thinking of others in my own coursework and in my own knowledge base. But sometimes that requires that you take in information and go within yourself to really learn so that you have more to contribute to people and to the world. So that's the position I'm currently in. I'm absorbing, and the more I absorb, the more I'll be able to give, which is why I haven't really been posting a lot, but I hope to in the future. So again, feel free to comment below, like below, subscribe to my channel, and offer any suggestions that you may have for future videos. I'll see you later. Bye.